Good morning, everyone. The time is now 11:02, so we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning and welcome to today's special held webinar on the Fall 2023 Literacy Screener. Bulletin 741 in the Louisiana Handbook for School Administrators outlines certain LDOE requirements, such as selecting a single universal literacy screener, administering the literacy screener 3 times per school year to each student in kindergarten through 3rd grade, within the first 30 days in December and in April, and providing support to students not reading at grade level and parental notification. To meet these statutory requirements, we have built in a multi-year request for proposals process to identify and contract with a single vendor for a statewide universal literacy screener. Not only will this help us gather valid, reliable statewide data on kindergarten through 3rd grade literacy, but this screener will also provide invaluable data for schools and teachers on student-specific needs with ongoing progress monitoring. We know that a high-quality literacy screening and reporting tool is a key component of our statewide comprehensive literacy plan. It is going to have an incredible impact on how we approach teaching and learning in classrooms around the state. Unfortunately, events have transpired in the RFP process at no fault of the Louisiana Department of Education that have made it necessary for us to approach the beginning of the school year with a plan that does not include an online statewide platform through a vendor contract, as we had hoped. Because OSP, the Office of State Procurement, is still engaging in the vendor protest process, we will be administering the full battery of a free open access literacy screener. During today's webinar, you will learn more about resources and training we are making available for this screener. We fully expect this protest period to be resolved soon and are very hopeful for a contract for an online platform and administration for the middle and end of the school year administrations this year. As always, our team will be available to answer questions and provide any support you all need. Please feel free to enter questions in the chat throughout today's webinar. Our team is standing by to provide answers. Shanna Bieber, our Executive Director of Literacy, will next lead us through today's webinar that will provide guidance and available resources for our beginning of year administration of our statewide literacy screener.
Thank you, Jenna. And as we wait for our deck to get shared, there we go. I would like to thank you for joining us today. And this deck will be made available along with a recording tomorrow on our Literacy Screener landing page. Our host will drop the link to that page for you. And this will be the page that all documents relating to the Literacy Screener can be found. Please check back throughout next week as we continue to release additional documents. As a reminder, I would first like to start with our mission for our literacy work across the state. This says that all Louisiana students will have improved literacy outcomes through high-quality instruction and interactions from an effective teacher who is supported by leaders and families. As a reminder, as a state, we have set an ambitious literacy goal around the 4th grade reading NAEP assessment. In order to ground our literacy improvement plan in data so that we can best understand the impact of our robust literacy improvement activities, we want to set a clear long-term goal. Our goal is by 2027, Louisiana's 4th grade NAEP results will increase by 10 points in scale score in comparison to the 2019 results, placing Louisiana above the national average in 4th grade reading. And if rankings remain the same, this would place us in the 20s in ranking. We have received our first set of data on this performance in relation to the NAEP goal. While almost all states saw a decline in 4th grade data, we saw an increase of 2 points and in fact outpaced all other states in 4th grade reading growth. This is a testament to the hard work that our educators are doing across the state in our reading revival. Our Louisiana literacy pillars are the cornerstone of our literacy improvement work. These include setting and monitoring literacy goals, providing a high-quality core instruction with explicit interventions and extensions, providing that ongoing professional development for both our teachers and leaders, and involving our families in the literacy development of their children at all ages and stages. In an effort to be compliant with Louisiana law and policy established by Bessie, the decision has been made to move forward to a single screener for the fall of 2023. School systems will only utilize Dibble's 8th, the free paper pencil version provided through the University of Oregon. We will have 2 significant shifts this year as compared to previous years. In previous years, there were 4 literacy screener options for schools to choose from. Again, we are moving forward to the single indicator, the single universal screener, I apologize. Moving forward to a single universal screener. Again, this will be the free paper pencil version of Dibble's 8th, provided through the University of Oregon. In previous years, we have reported on only a single indicator, and now we will report on the full battery of the screener. Here, you will see the individual measures that will be given for each grade level. Again, you will complete all measures for each grade level. This will provide you with a composite score, and the composite score is what will be submitted to the department. As stated in policy, the screening must be conducted within the first 30 days of school. The department will provide testing manuals similar to those we have for LEAP, and this will include the required oaths for test coordinators and administrators, directions for accommodations, reminders for test security, and links to additional guidance documents. Links for this guidance will be released through the Assessment and Accountability Office hours, as well as weekly system leader newsletters. Remote site screening will be allowable for the fall screening. Guidance will be made available next week. That includes remote testing materials, device setup, as well as testing administration requirements. Again, all these materials will be found on that literacy screener landing page as they become available. As I mentioned before, you will be submitting a composite score. Due to the lack of an online platform, the department has created a composite scoring calculator to easily calculate the composite score for you. We will also provide a training video on how to use this calculator. This will also become available in that landing page by next week. Here you will see a snippet of the calculation tool. As the administrator inputs the scores, it will not only calculate the composite score, but it will color code each subset to show the level of proficiency. Reminder that all subsets must be administered to get the composite score, and that this is the score that will be submitted to the department. Here you will see the approximate number of minutes it takes to screen each child per grade level. This information is also found in the Dibble's 8th Administration and Scoring Guide and will help you in developing your testing schedule. As a reminder, the guidance for assigning appropriate accommodations that do not compromise the validity of the assessment will be provided in the testing manuals for coordinators and administrators. The K-3 literacy screener accommodations will be added to the IEP form in ESER and on documentation for IAPs and EL checklists when they become final. Reading is the most important academic skill and the foundation for all learning. And this is especially important for students who also have disabilities and for those with significant cognitive disabilities. For students with disabilities, assessing their literacy levels frequently is important to inform educators, support personnel, and families around the supports needed to close reading gaps and to address those concerns beginning early in their educational journey. Students with significant cognitive disabilities must have their literacy skills assessed, which will be through the Literacy Alternate Assessment rubric. The webinar and additional guidance on these will be made available on the Literacy Screener landing page and will include eligibility criteria, accommodations, an overview of the Literacy Alternate Assessment rubric, and procedures for administering the rubrics. For students that are deaf and/or hard of hearing, have a visual impairment, English learners, fluency-based speech disorders, or have limited verbal skills, the department is currently finalizing appropriate accommodations and literacy assessments for these populations. All students in dual immersion programs will be assessed with the DIBELS 8th Literacy Screener. We are currently working with a work group of key stakeholders to develop next steps and develop best practices to inform instructional decisions. Due to not having an online platform for teachers to train on the screener, we have developed a 2-hour training for system and school leaders to conduct with any teachers who are administering the screener. We also recommend that anyone, even if a teacher is not administering the screener, we still recommend they get this training so that they have access and understanding to those literacy scores, how students are being measured, and to be able to correctly input those scores as well as create interventions. By the end of this training, the participants will be able to administer and score the DIBELS 8th screener. We recommend that you do this as a whole group and you bring teachers together in one room with a video projector with audio. A redelivery plan has been created to guide the leader through the webinar. The webinar recording will have an introduction to each measure, a model of how to administer and score the measures, and opportunities for practice. The redelivery plan will also inform the presenter on what materials will need to be printed and when to stop the video for discussion. Both the webinar recording and the redelivery page can be found currently on the Literacy Screener landing page, and additional trainings on data analysis, goal setting, and interventions will become available by the end of August. This training will be part of an administrator's oath. In order to ensure the reliability of the literacy screener data, testing coordinators may want to conduct fidelity checks. The observer should judge the full test administration. That includes observing setup and directions, timing and scoring the test in parallel with the examiner, checking the examiner's accuracy and procedures using the fidelity checklist, and deciding if the examiner passes or needs more practice for each procedure listed. As you're aware, our policy in Bulletin 741 does include reporting the results of the literacy screener to parents within 15 days. This is for any child who has been identified as below grade level. It also includes the creation for any student below grade level needs to have a reading improvement plan. We are currently working on a single parent reporting document that would encompass both of these requirements. This is being made in effort to lessen the amount of paperwork that is required by our teachers, and these reporting documents will be made available next week on the screener landing page. I want to also remind you of the policy that was put into place through Bulletin 1566 this past school year that required that all third and fourth grade students who score below grade level on the end of year literacy assessment must receive 30 hours of summer literacy interventions consisting of explicit targeted literacy instruction based on the science of reading, or they will be retained. This policy was a 2-year policy encompassing last school year and this school year. So due to this, we also recommend that any fourth grade student who scores mastery or scores below mastery or advanced on the ELA LEAP 2025 would receive this assessment at the beginning of the school year to determine if intervention is needed and to also inform families of this policy. We will have on the third grade parent reporting form that policy written at the bottom, so they are also made aware. Here are some next steps for you as leaders. Create a plan on how and when that training will occur. Determine printing and distribution of materials. We will be providing guidance on reimbursement for printing materials, and that will be made soon. Developing a schedule for screener administration, who will be providing that screener administration and when. And also staying informed through our newsletters, weekly calls, and updated guidance. Again, all documents that are updated will be placed on that literacy screener landing page that you have a one-stop shop for all things literacy screener. If you have any additional questions, please contact us. For questions about testing administration, contact assessment@la.gov. For questions about data reporting, contact system support at la.gov. For questions about training and policy related to the screener, contact Louisiana Literacy at la.gov. And for questions about diverse learner support in reference to the literacy screener, contact diverse learner support at la.gov. At this time, we are going to go ahead and take a few moments to look at some of the questions that were put in the chat, and we will respond through the chat. We will also collect all these questions to create an FAQ that will be added to some of the questions that were asked at the Teacher Leader Summit, and we will place that FAQ next week on the landing page. I thank you again for joining us today and for being a part of this literacy journey with us. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining today's webinar. We're going to go ahead and close out. I believe we've answered as many of the questions as we can that have come in, but we welcome you all to email us with any additional questions that you have. Thank you all for joining us today.